that. Citibank Mobile Check Deposit. Easier banking. Standard at Citibank.
No one wants to be booed. Just ask Matt Kemp. But is getting booed good for you? Is the NCAA hypocritical?
Absolutely.
Should college players be paid? Bob DeMar says yes. You might say he's keen on singing. Robbie's perfect pitch. Hello again through the magic of television. I've been transported 1,700 miles in 30 minutes to be here with you tonight. Now, if you spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a business, would you let the employees make the decisions about who their boss is? Probably not. Don't get me wrong. Would you ask a valued employee for their opinion? Probably. But would they make the final decision? No. That's the real world of business. The NBA is a business, but with a different reality. It's a league where top stars are not only consulted, but also get a vote. You don't have to be a valued employee. You just have to put up big numbers every night. Then you have value. Much has been made of Dwight Howard's reported unhappiness with Mike D'Antoni. It's also been reported that Clipper players didn't give Vinny Del Negro a vote of confidence. They say it's a players' league, but how much input should the players have? Who in the world is in charge? Joining us from LASportsHub.com, Matt Miller. And from Turner's 2 Cents, Cameron Turner. If Dwight Howard's agent said, I'm not re-signing with the Lakers unless Mike D'Antoni is gone, would you make a change with D'Antoni, Cameron?
Well, Fred, I don't know if they're going to make that change that dramatically, but these teams have to consider the wishes of their top players because, let's face it, the NBA is a star-driven league, and those top players are the ones who bring the money in. Now, having said that, I don't believe that the Lakers are going to defer the decision about D'Antoni's future over to Dwight Howard. Howard is, of course, an important member of the Lakers, but he's not a keystone to the team in the same way that Chris Paul is with the Clippers.
All right, now, Cameron, I would agree with that, but, Matt,
yes.
Here's the question. Do you let the stars, Cameron suggests, well, it's a star-driven league, they've got to have a great deal of input.
They're going to be
Do you believe they should?
Yes, I believe they should have the input because it's a star-driven league. It's not the same. It doesn't work like that for all leagues. But in the case of Chris Paul, he's basically on stage when he's out there. You see his face. He's not wearing a helmet, so you got to give him the input. And he's got good basketball savvy. Frankly, I'd trust his opinion a lot more than Donald Sterling's. All
right, so you're saying the Clippers made a move with Vinny Del Negro to make Chris Paul more comfortable in re-signing. Now, there's a report in the New York Daily News that Chris wants the club to hire an African-American coach. Whether that is true or not, how much input should he have selecting the next coach, Matt?
He should have lots of input because of his basketball savvy, and you want him on board. You need a star in this league to win, and if you keep Chris Paul, you might have a chance to win. If you upset him, then you might leave, and you definitely won't have a chance to win. He might stay if you keep him happy.
Cameron, are the inmates running the asylum? Who should be in charge?
I don't think the inmate and asylum analogy quite fits. But I think that definitely this is a good thing for the NBA, that players are being consulted more. You know, we think about the bad old days of pro sports where players are more or less workmen who were underpaid and were prone to injury without any kind of compensation. This is a good thing that players are at least being brought into the decision-making process.
All right, now there's a different group trying to bring about change in the National Football League. Despite the fact fans in Washington want to keep the name Redskins and owner Daniel Snyder has vowed that he will never change the name, 10 members of Congress feel differently. They've sent a letter to Snyder, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, Redskins sponsors FedEx, and the other 31 NFL franchises. Leaders of the Congressional Native American Caucus, Tom Cole, a Republican from Oklahoma, and Betty McCollum, a Democrat from Minnesota, consider Redskins the R word a racial derogatory slur, like the N-word for African Americans, or the W word among Latinos. Should Daniel Snyder be forced to change his team's name, Matt?
Yes, he should change the name, but forced, it depends on who's forcing. Control of any name is, appropriating a name denotes control, and whether it's intentional or not, that's a certain amount of racism. So there's 10 congressmen. That's just less than 2% of Congress. I'm not a math major, but it's at least there's, I think, 98% of Congress who seem to hopefully doing something that outside of the realm of sports necessarily.
Cameron, is this just a case of being PC? Or is this name offensive?
Absolutely, it's offensive. People who are defenders of the Redskins name sometimes point to a couple of polls that were done early part of the decade. Sports Illustrated in 2002, University of Pennsylvania in 2004, did a couple of surveys which claimed that between 75 and 91% of Native Americans did not find the term Redskins offensive. The methodology of those surveys was called into question because it's not clear that all the people surveyed were indeed Native American. Look, the term redskin is definitely a racial slur among indigenous people. This is not a new issue. This group of 10 congressmen is not the first group. This has been around for a long time, and quite frankly, it reflects very poorly on the Redskins organization, its fans, and it's time for Mr. Snyder to just simply do the right thing. There is no basis, really, by
Except he owns the team.
Well, certainly he owns the team, and it's not a question of force, it's a question of what is right. And I don't think there's any dispute that the term Redskin, which perhaps at some distant, misty time in our past was like the N-word, not necessarily a pejorative, but it clearly is today. And if Mr. Snyder wants to reflect the best of his city, the best of the sport, go ahead and make the name change, and let's move on and play ball.
All right, Matt, we've got about 8 seconds here. Long term, do you think there'll be enough pressure on Snyder to change the name? It's yes or no?
I think he'll change it just because public opinion's going to change it, just like it did for gay athletes recently.
All right, Cameron, Matt, nice job. I'll be back with you guys in a couple of minutes. Sometimes when you do a show like this, you react. Occasionally, you're